Hello Indie Game fan, we have a compact week packed full of fantastic games, beginning with Pulling No Punches, a cartoony beat-em-up set in a fictional pandemic which may just hit a little too close to home. It reminds me of titles that you would find on Newgrounds, especially due to the art style and animation, as well as how the UI is presented, looking like a fun little title. We also have the release of Chico and the Magic Orchards, a puzzle adventure game where you play as a chipmunk, rolling a giant walnut around the world in order to build up his winter stash. From the look and presentation, it is no surprise that the developers are going for the Game Boy Color look and feel, which is mission accomplished as far as I'm concerned, looking like an awesome smaller game. Quick update on the big project, where we're still working towards the first milestone of 100 games in one video on the best indie games to play, so for more details, watch the video linked below and support me on Patreon if you want to be involved. I don't quite know what to expect of Glyph-Bound Kotodama since it looks very ambitious, being a monster-taming MMORPG with tactical combat. It looks very impressive and has good sprites, but I do wonder how this developer will be able to support a large player base. First-person simulation titles are popular, but we have seen many variants on them, where running your own arcade isn't a new idea, but I do think that Arcade Paradise still has potential. Most interestingly, you're attempting to convert a laundromat into the ultimate arcade, having a duality to the game which is not seen in other titles, and as these tend to go, might get weirdly popular if enough people jump on it. A very anime entry is Super Bullet Break, one that does resemble gacha games but as far as I know, does not have any microtransactions, so we are safe for now. You're collecting various anime girls, also known as bullets in this game, used to launch attacks against your enemies, having a run-based node structure to the exploration, and is actually a roguelite as you fight off a rogue AI. There are a handful of fantastic bigger games this week, such as Rumbleverse, a pro wrestling battle royale title that has previewed well during their various playtests, where power driving someone off the top of a building sure seems like fun, and yes, while it does look like Fortnite, should be unique enough to stand on its own. Just a quick trailer for Shin-chan, Me and the Professor on Summer Vacation, The Endless 7-Day Journey, winner of the Longest Game Title Award. But just in time for summer, this gets an English language release. You play as a little boy on summer vacation in the Japanese countryside, spending days running about, exploring, eating, fishing, catching bugs, playing cards, listening to music and more, exploring the innocence of youth and looking very pleasant.
7 days journey.
The developer of 2 Point Hospital are back with 2 Point Campus, another management sim, but now has you in charge of a university, conducting a variety of atypical classes like running a clown or magic school, where this has also previewed well and I hope has enough depth. Just one pot of interest this week with Axiom Verge 2, getting a Steam release after its Epic Games Store exclusivity expires, where this is the sequel to one of the best Metroidvanias in recent memory, but I do think pales in comparison to the original. It feels like a different game, which is not necessarily a bad thing and is enjoyable on its own, so if you have not played this, give it a try this week. The top 5 begins with Lost in Play, a wonderful hand-drawn point-and-click adventure game starring a pair of siblings exploring imaginary worlds, which, as you can imagine, does lead to a huge variety of settings and scenarios, since the imagination of children is something special. I really love the art style, which is reminiscent of a cartoon, where I hope the developers have managed to find the right difficulty balance for their puzzles. Just a quick trailer for Timothy and the Tower of Moon, an action platformer sequel to the action-adventure game Timothy and the Mysterious Forest from 2019, where the action and art in this looks old school and awesome. It's not always fair for developers when you compare their games to another game, but I have to come right out and say it since, mechanically, Tyrant's Blessing resembles Into the Breach to a fairly large extent, but of course has a high fantasy setting and lacks cities that you need to protect. As such, I hope it's not a watered-down version of Into the Breach and has unique ideas of its own, but since I love roguelite tactics titles, I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt. I mentioned in yesterday's video that the developer of the Diablo-style action RPG Grim Dawn is moving on to a new project, with the biggest surprise being that it is a medieval city builder named Father's Frontier, which is a very different type of game. Luckily for me, I enjoy variety in my games and just so happen to like city builders, stemming from the very classic Referral from back in the day, so this is up my alley, where it looks amazing and has also previewed well. Just search this title on YouTube to get early impressions. Let me tell you, Cult of the Lamb will be a huge success based on what I know of this game, from the awesome action, compelling meta progression as you build up your cult and home base, clever Twitch integration which will increase its reach, and of course, has the stamp of approval from Devolver Digital, possibly being Game of the Year material, so don't miss out, and I easily see it joining this list in the future.